Okay, it is 6:01 p.m. on Monday, October 11th, 2021. We are in the boardroom of the Harlan Community High School for the Board of Directors regular meeting. The first item on the agenda is to call the meeting to order and determine a quorum. We do have a quorum. Second item on the agenda is the public forum. I don't believe that anybody asked to speak, so we won't have a public forum this evening. Third item on the agenda is to approve the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
By Seth.
Second.
Second by Al. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Next item on the agenda is our discussion items. The first is the administrator report.
Okay, so today Bill went to the freshman volleyball game to watch his daughter. Jeff is doing some work on the baseball fields because of the weather's nice, and then they're building the new
batting.
yeah, which isn't ours, but and Scott is going to be here, I think. So, but Scott will talk a little bit more maybe when we do the tour, because Brian, so kind of that's kind of our deal, was we thought we'd give the tour today. And then the second piece was the school resource officer. And I included that in your board packet, but we have an opportunity to have a resource officer basically for free from the Sheriff's Department. And they wrote a grant with the American Rescue Act dollars, so they would partner with us and MERTU and themselves, and then we would work on the mental health side of things, so the officer would be trained in mental health and as a school resource officer and be K-12. So really all we have to do is have an office for them, so it's very exciting. And Neil was going to be here, but he had a training tonight too. Okay. So I didn't know if anyone had any questions. Do you have any questions about that?
Do we, office-wise, do we know what building they'll be in? Or?
We just brought it up last week at our admin, but I think what we could do is, I mean, they might have just one stay put office, but I would assume they would be
kind of floating
around. And then the other thing, the other agreement that we just had to make was that the officer would be able to go to Elkhorn, Exira, Kimballton, at least maybe 1 or 2 days a month. So just because they're within their jurisdiction. So that was fine with us. But I think just to have another adult, and the focus would be making relationships with kids so kids understand
and
that there's a good relationship with police.
Do we have a role or a say in hiring? And
I did ask that, and I in my past have worked with lots of different school resource officers, and there's a difference in my opinion between a resource officer and a police officer. Sometimes a school resource officer, so Neil and I talked a lot about that, and they will focus much more on the kids side of things, and they'll be trained as a school resource officer as well as a police officer. And yes, he said we would be able to have some say in that. So, and ultimately it will be a county sheriff's employee, and their board of supervisors has approved it as well.
Okay.
So,
What's our role in supervision or their employee?
We would have very little role in that. I mean, I think we could give our input on that if something wasn't good. But
And who is taking point on training?
Neil
Neil
Gross, the sheriff.
Is taking point on training as you?
No, they would go to a school resource officer training specifically for school resource officers. Is that?
Yep.
Okay. And then the mental health part of the training we will provide?
No, we don't, and I think that he's got something with MERTU.
With
that there would be some extensive training on trauma and working with families. And the other piece that he did talk about was they would be able to work with families as well. And the other partner is the mental health region. So Southwest Iowa Mental Health Region, which it's like 9 different counties, but so they could provide a lot of the training as well.
And I'm sure it would be good, but if it wasn't a good fit for whatever reason, what happens there? Like,
I think we would just have to discuss that with him and work with him and make sure, that it was good, because if it wasn't, you're right. I mean, and I, just like I said, I've worked with a few that maybe would be better
Just
as
as
an
a police
officer
officer.
versus with children. So I think when we do choose, those will be some of the questions is how will you work with children and families?
And this would be a next fall type?
He said even in the spring.
In the
he
spring.
thought. So he said, he asked me when, and I just said as soon as possible would be great if we can, but he thought spring, so.
And this is part of the American Rescue Plan, so that's for another 2,
He has funding for 3,
okay?
and then he did say to me that he feels very strongly about this and will continue to advocate for more funding, so. Yeah,
It's good. It's
Yeah.
exciting.
Yeah.
Very good.
Exciting for the district. Thank you for working with Neil on that.
In my lap.
Administrators are,
They're very excited.
Good.
Yeah. I checked with them first before I went down there.
Mhm.
but-
very good.
Good deal. The new board member forum is tomorrow night.
Oh, yes, sorry. I skipped over that.
Oops,
Sorry about that.
sorry. Tomorrow night at 6 o'clock in the high school auditorium. And I believe that all of the candidates will be there. There are nine of them. So,
Tomorrow at 6 in the
Tom-
afternoon.
6 PM. What'd you
I
say?
think you're on the schedule.
It wasn't on my calendar, so.
Did you get an email from Todd?
I have no idea.
Oh,
I
You got one
did.
today, probably.
Oh,
You
it
got
came
one
in
today.
Yeah, it's an honest answer anyway.
yes.
Yes, he did send one out today, so.
Okay,
And he said to be there just a little bit early, just to make sure.
fair, yeah, no worries. I just flew down from Sioux City, so I didn't have enough.
No. Okay, next discussion item is our legislative resolutions. And I apologize, we should have done this earlier in the year and it kind of got overlooked by both of us. But if you can you guys open your little link there? I did it home. There we go.
I have paper copies if anyone needs.
And I do have one also.
So this one.
I wouldn't need one.
Oops, here.
So in the past, Al, do you remember, have we picked 3 or 4 that we wanted
Yeah,
to?
I don't know why the word 5 or the number 5
Did you
kind
get
of
some?
comes up
I
to mind.
think.
But is it it's probably too late to get them included in the.
No, gentleman Phil emailed me and said that if I said, can we, talk about it at tonight's meeting, and he said yes, so he just wanted to know, and I'm going to look quick and see. In the past, I was thinking, we had done, mental health,
I need those glasses.
Yeah, it'd be nice
We have
to
done
have
mental health in the past and
school funding or,
school, yeah,
he said to pick 4.
yeah,
supplemental state aid,
yeah, that's just it, yeah.
right?
I'm looking for one of the school funding one, because one thing that's gonna impact us is their genius solution to school funding was regarding the operational sharing dollars, wasn't to increase the cap from 21 to like 25. It was to reduce the per position student equivalent for each of the share positions, in effect decreasing school funding.
School funding.
Yeah, so I think within school funding specifically that one, because like the shared social workers and other shared positions that we've benefited from in the past are probably impacted by that, I would imagine, so.
It's been diminished, yes.
Yeah, so if they want to actually help us there, they could increase the cap instead of decreasing the.
They increased the positions, they decreased the FTEs is what they did.
Right.
So school funding then,
I would expect that would come up.
School
at the-
funding, SSA,
Hope
and,
so.
what was the
mental
first one you
health
said?
was
Mental
one.
health.
Yeah.
Do we have to have 4?
We have to have 4.
That sounds like what we did last year. Of course, we're just a part
And then I
of the
can't remember
big.
the 4th one.
One thing
Picture.
that we may want to
SSA,
consider is
there's
preschool, just because the preschool funding, you just get like half of a student, but we could encourage
That for the
more
preschool.
for preschool.
And maybe preschool was one of them, I can't remember.
Seems like maybe it was statewide, I think, because these get combined together and then
Yeah, so next
for
year
the
we need to give this
ISBs
to
to
them.
present.
Preschool one would definitely help us
Yeah.
out.
So if I respond to him with preschool, mental health, state, was it state funding?
Teacher recruit, or no, yep. Was it
Okay.
state funding? No.
Well, it's a,
So I'm gonna throw a wrench in to what Seth was talking about. That is not covered under school funding policy. It's covered on the back page on sharing and reorganization.
There you go.
Supports continuation of sufficient incentives and assistance to encourage sharing or reorganization between school districts, including the establishment of regional schools. Supports expanding the positions eligible for operational sharing incentives.
So that's,
So is that the one you?
Half of it.
and the other ones that
I-
are school
yeah,
resource.
Yeah, we don't-
Here's the SSA.
Or school, not school
Yeah.
resource, school
It's up-
funding policy.
It's up here.
I'm not
State
real,
aid.
I'm
Yeah.
not real on board with that first paragraph of that one though. At all. Do we want to not make that part of it and then just like tell Al, hey Al, talk to him about the sharing thing? When you-
Yeah.
When you go up for the,
Do the school funding and then just have Al
Whoever goes.
promote the.
Yeah.
I think that's
No,
fine.
no,
Here, they do it
no.
together, but I.
but we have to have a
Yes,
delegate,
and
we
then
have
they
to
go
have
from
a
all over the
legislative
state.
delegate.
our delegate.
I didn't, so I just had a list.
So did we,
Do you want to explain the
Yeah.
process of what we're doing?
well,
Well, we,
the IASB has these, school, like legislative resolutions.
Topics, like,
Yes.
yeah.
Priorities.
And they want each school district, I believe, to pick out their top 4 that, that district feels is very, important to them.
And then I think they look at the big picture and, because they have people that advocate on behalf of schools to the legislature, the Iowa legislature. And
Is that
So then
correct,
they-
Al?
Our
Can you
lobbyist-
ask me?
I've received this information, I didn't know what it was for, so.
yeah, and then that's when, somebody from the board goes up the day before the,
Yeah, a delegate assembly, that's a big part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're the
Yeah.
delegate, aren't you?
Yeah.
yes, but I don't know if I will this year.
But you have been in the past, right,
Yes, I think
John?
I've done it like
Yeah.
Several
a
years.
lot. Yeah, and then the state, presents it, and we go through it, one by one, and you have to vote yes or no if you're in agreement with that.
So you go through all the resolutions, Joni, is that, okay.
Yeah, they do, and then they'll
Yeah.
come out with the top 5 or
Yeah,
whatever.
and then
for
that's
the-
what they will take.
For the,
Take and
yeah,
move
so
on.
our lobbyists know
Yeah.
that the school districts of Iowa think these are your 4 or 5
So
most
you
important.
would vote yes on the ones that
That
your
we-
board had selected?
Well, right, but, gosh, there might be, oh gosh, Alf, how many would they
Well,
present?
Well, there's a lot, but yes, you vote, you're going to, but there's a lot of discussion that takes place. So,
Okay.
Yes.
after the discussion, you would
can
pull
vote
up
yes or
your
no.
yes
And
or
if-
your no.
And even if
should
it
this
wasn't
be
something we
included?
discussed
Oh,
here,
right.
you could still vote yes for it.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, because you're gonna vote on everyone, and if there's, one that a school district or school board, doesn't agree with, then you'll have people stand up and speak and try to get it amended or changed and why.
Okay.
So, it doesn't happen very often, but it is interesting because then you get a debate going or, different people doing the pros and
It's
cons.
a very interesting day because they
It
bring
is.
up some
Yeah.
really good.
Mhm.
It's-
So ours is just a little piece of the big picture. We present our top ones and then the state board puts it all together. But, and the voting is usually pretty easy. It's not like a lot of them are 50-50. It's, the majority of them are
Right.
95%.
But who's repping us?
Well,
Well, I don't know about this
Oh,
year.
'cause of the
the board will appoint somebody to be their delegate at that assembly, and then there's an alternate delegate in case that person can't be
Okay.
there.
And the superintendent
Usually
usually,
superintendents or whatever, they don't get to speak that day, it's
No.
school board members.
they just sit by me and then if I have a question, I'll kind
You
of
can
look at
ask.
her.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and then she's like,
Yes, no.
You don't want that.
yes. So whoever is the delegate assembly, may want, especially I'm not sure who that person will be, but it would be nice
Yep.
for the new person to go over and they will send you all of the material ahead of
So when will
time.
we decide who that person is?
Well, it'll have to be before convention, so it'll be before the organizational meeting. And so, it would be,
Our November board meeting, we need to have it on
Yeah,
our
it would-
agenda.
well,
Okay.
that would be before.
But that'll be like,
convention.
That'll be
Right
really
before.
right
I know.
before.
It seems like it would make sense to ask Joni to do that. She's got the experience. and-
Because our board meeting would be the 8th and,
Yeah, you
remind me, 18th, I think?
18th is
Yeah, it's-
convention.
Well, and the
Or
17th would be the delegate
Yeah.
assembly.
You're right, it's the day before the
Yeah,
big one.
yeah. Is that something you're willing to do?
Sure.
Thank you.
That's a Tuesday, right?
A Wednesday.
It's always
That's
a
a
Tuesday and Wednesday.
Oh,
It's a Wednesday, Thursday.
It's a Wednesday, Thursday.
Yeah.
excuse me.
So then you go up on
I
that.
may not be, I can go on Wednesday, but I may not be able to go. I will not be able to attend the one on the 18th.
On the Thursday.
I'm planning to be there, so, and I would probably plan to be there on that delegate assembly. I used to be there on the ISB side, and since I'm not on that board anymore, but I was planning on being around there, so I certainly could be that delegate, could do or to be that alternate.
Oh.
And that, be there also.
Okay. Because I know, I know I have a conflict for sure on the 18th and I think the 17th, but if you could be the backup for
Yeah,
the.
that'd be fine. I mean,
Okay.
I'm sure, I'm planning to be there.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So, back to these. Are we in agreement with preschool, mental health, SSA, the supplemental state aid, and school funding policy? Or did we want to go with the sharing and reorganization?
I'll just say I don't agree with that first sentence in the sharing and reorganization, so maybe stick with the school funding.
Which, I'm surprised it's not under there anymore.
Well, and just because we don't pick it, doesn't mean it's not gonna be
Right.
There are
brought up
going to
at
be several
state.
schools that do pick it.
Yes.
and
Okay.
There's,
Yeah, so it's not like,
Okay,
Yes.
I will reply to him with those, if that is okay with everybody. The next item for discussion, Jessica and I spoke with Harry at IASB in September, possibly. And we thought it would be, and we talked to Jenny, and we thought it would be a good idea, once we get the new board in place, to have some sort of a training. We haven't done that for a long time, and I don't know, we just all agreed that it would be a good thing, and Harry felt the same way. Harry is retiring, and his new person is Tammy.
We also know Tammy.
Yes, we did also meet with
part of
Tammy, and she seems very good. And Tammy will be the one that would come and do the training. So I gave her the date of our January meeting. What her and Harry both said is that they would prefer not to do it on a board night. They would prefer a different date. I don't know how we go about setting a different date when we don't quite know who the board consists of. Do we want to set that now? Do we want to keep it as the January board meeting?
Can we put it to, can we set it as an agenda item to select a date and whatever the
In
board?
December or?
December.
Yeah.
I think they were wanting to get it on their calendar because their calendar
Can we
fills up,
fills up?
they've got the whole state to.
we used to have meetings twice a month. Can we just schedule it for that?
For that next,
What would have been the second meeting of
Yeah.
the month?
Alternating.
Yeah,
like the 4th Monday? That'd be the 24th. January 24th. Mm-hmm.
Should we let the candidates know that this is potentially a time they'd want to set aside?
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
What did you say that date?
January 24th.
About how long do they schedule?
I think a couple of hours probably.
So 6, want to do it like
6 to
at
8.
board time? I
Yeah,
mean,
board time. Does that work best?
I think you just gotta set it and,
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
yeah.
I think it'll be really good for them to come in and then Harry sent me a few things, so he just wanted us to touch base on a couple of things before we do change boards.
Oh, the packets.
It's just 2 pages.
Oh. Thank you.
So he wanted us to just run through this 8 traits of effective school boards. What makes a board effective? 1, high expectations, clear goals. Effective school boards make a commitment to a vision of high expectations for student achievement and quality instruction. They define clear goals to meet the vision, make sure the goals remain the top priorities, and allow nothing to detract from them. 2, belief that all children can learn. Effective school boards have strong shared beliefs and values about what is possible for students and their ability to learn, and of the system and its ability to teach all children at high levels. In high achieving districts, poverty, lack of parental involvement, and other factors are described as challenges to be overcome, not as excuses. Board members expect to see improvements in student achievement quickly as a result of initiatives. 3, focused on achievement. Effective boards are accountability driven. They spend less time on operational issues and more time focused on policies to improve student achievement. 4, collaboration and communication. Effective boards have a collaborative relationship with staff and the community. A strong communication structure is in place to inform and engage key groups, internal and external, in setting and achieving the district's goals. 5, data savvy. Effective school boards embrace and monitor data even when the information is negative and use it to drive continuous improvement. In high achieving districts, board members identify specific student needs through data and justify decisions based on that data. 6, goals and resources aligned. Effective school boards align and sustain resources, such as a professional development to meet district goals. This occurs even during the most severe budget challenges, such as the ones districts now face. 7, team leadership. Effective school boards lead as a united team with the superintendent, each of their respective roles with strong collaboration and mutual trust. Boards in successful districts define an initial vision for the district and seek a superintendent who matches this vision. And 8, team training. Boards that are effective take part in team development and training, sometimes with their superintendents, to build shared knowledge, values, and commitments for the district's improvement efforts. Training is formal, deliberate, and often on specific topics. So, very brief, but I'm glad that he shared that with us. He felt that was important.
And it looks like on the opposite end of the extreme opposite is the danger signs, things to watch out for too.
Yes. And for next month, you have a little assignment. I want you to pick 1 or 2. 1 is sufficient. Strengths, and 1 or 2 that you think we could maybe improve on. And I think it would be nice to just have a very, brief discussion as we start moving forward and make some changes. And then that does say the danger signs, Joni, on that other page. So he's very helpful, full of knowledge. And I think Tammy will be the same.
I think she has been training with him for a long time, and she serves
She is on a school board.
on a school board, so she knows about it from the board perspective as well.
Yeah. So don't put a ton of time into that because I know we're all busy, but just something brief that we can discuss next time.
Students now, we all have homework too.
Okay. The next discussion item is early retirement.
Hey, do you want to- I printed off last year's if you'd like
Okay.
to see them.
Sure.
Yes, please. Sorry.
So I think we just thought that this was on the agenda last year, and we just wanted to make sure that it's out there and that the finance committee or, you know, whoever makes some changes, or if you would want to make changes, but this is just last year's policy.
Okay.
And we did make some changes last year.
So this is the
This is
Final
last,
version.
This should be the updated.
this is
Yeah.
last year's final version, right?
Last year,
So is this for
Changes.
review now, or are we
Well,
making a decision?
We need to kind of decide if we
Yeah.
want to keep it as it is,
Yeah.
because we need to, I think we have the due date last year for our early retirees is the end of November,
I was gonna say, I know it's,
like the changes you made last
Yeah, got it.
Yeah.
which that's
November.
fastly approaching, I mean, that's.
Yeah.
November 30th.
never, yeah, it's on section 5, letter C,
Okay.
5 PM on November 30th.
And we're always wanting to make sure that it's doing what we're
Yes.
wanting it to accomplish.
Yes.
you know. So,
In the vein of number 5 on being data savvy,
yeah,
and I guess fundamentally, unless we're seeing this as a retirement bonus, we're not trying to incentivize retirement, we're trying to incentivize early notification, right?
Say again?
that's the question, I think.
I
Why-
think-
Why we do it?
I think we have, over the years, tried to walk a line between, maybe if, from a budgetary standpoint, you know, those higher paid teachers, but we don't wanna bring that threshold so low that our kids are losing out on the benefit of those
Those-
very experienced
Mhm,
teachers.
those experienced,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? So to maybe help people make a decision who are truly like getting ready to retire, which then allows us to maybe save a little money. But also, we need to approach it from the other way, that it's not necessarily a retirement bonus. It has to be advantageous for the district in order for us to do this.
You should be very intentional in what you're doing. That's the key word, you want to be intentional in what you're doing.
So if those are, I think, wrapping our heads around the goals, one goal here, I guess, from my perspective, and I'd be curious if it was shared, is around just early notification. Like the earlier that, if somebody knows they're not gonna renew their contract with us and they can notify us in November,
Absolutely.
we have a whole lot more time to get somebody that
Get
if
a quality
Then
candidate.
if in May they
Yes.
Yes.
bail on us.
We changed, I mean, last year, having them notify us in November was one of the earliest we've done. I mean, we've tried to improve on that.
But then, that has to be followed then by the postings actually being made and the hiring process actually happening. Because
Right.
there
If
has been a delay there before.
If we're going to, I mean, November, you know, a deadline, yeah, then we
There's
want
a
to take
reason for that.
advantage of
Yeah.
knowing.
So if that's one of the goals tied to this is early notification so that we can engage in early planning,
Yes.
early decision-making, early hiring, well, like all that aspect. And then I think to your point you just made then, is there another goal specific within our district to,
I mean,
are there areas in which we do want to
that's what I'm alluding to. If you have an area where you really feel that there is a need for lowering the threshold, yes, you can use it, you can be very intentional. I'll give you an example, and this isn't anything we've done, but I've visited with districts where they've been so specific, they really kind of knew they wanted this one and this one, if they make it that specific in what qualified.
What qualified them
So
to
we can make it
retire?
very targeted
You
if
can make,
that's.
you can make it very specific and very intentional.
And I guess for that, I would look for recommendation
Absolutely, from
you
like
and your
the,
crew on,
Yeah.
are there targeted
And-
needs that,
the
The
finance
finance
committee
committee just helped kind of
with,
have that discussion.
With you and Brian and-
With Superintendent and Brian.
Because that comes out of-
So,
That money comes out of management
Yes.
funds, so that has to,
We also need
has
to
to
know
be
where
there.
things stand
You know,
there.
gotta make sure that we're sound there, which we have been.
We're pretty sound there at
Yes.
this point.
so does the finance committee need to meet and come back with a recommendation in November?
I think that's what our intent was when we were talking to you about this, is that they would meet, because there's still, I mean, there's a maximum of 6 on here, and then the changes from last year, do you want to keep those? Do you want to?
Depending on when we did it in November, if we could just push it just a week or so back into November, we are going to do the, I butcher this acronym, comprehensive financial projection model. We go to do that in the end of October,
It's in a couple weeks, yeah.
in a couple of weeks. And it would be nice, at least we'd preliminarily have, and depending who's sitting on the finance committee, it's a very educational piece.
is there a certain notification requirement? I can't remember. Like, we have to have this open for so long, or?
Yeah, it said right here that it's,
That one
they
I'm
may,
just
well, it
afraid.
may be submitted anytime after 7 PM on November 11th, but I'm not sure.
That
I didn't know once we opened it up if we had to, like, give a certain amount of time.
No, I think you
You know
can
what I mean?
decide that. You can, and I wonder if November 11th was when the board meeting was last year.
I'm guessing.
And so we could just make that November 12th. I mean, if you,
We meet on the 8th, I think.
if the finance committee met and made whatever changes needed, and then on the November
Prior
board
to the
meeting,
November board
prior to
meeting.
that, then you
But
bring it to the meeting.
After your projection.
Yeah, and it
Yeah.
would depend on where it falls. And
Yeah.
And
then
bring it
we
to the
could
November
have
I'll at
this
least
ready,
preliminarily have
or
it done.
we
It
could
might not
just
be complete.
send
And then the
out
finance
to
committee
teachers,
could
like-
come to the November meeting
Yeah.
with a recommendation.
With the recommendation to the board.
And then we could.
And you could open
send
it up
out
as
to
early
staff
as the
that night,
Or the next morning,
if it's
or-
approved,
yeah.
or the next morning. And then they'd still have till November 30th.
Right.
Yep. Does that sound okay?
Yeah, we'll just have to really hit it hard once we go
Once
to
you get that.
Yep, to the projection meeting.
They do a lot, we do a lot of it that day, but there's so much when you get back, you have to
Oh, yeah.
get in the right spot.
Speaking of scheduling committee.
Yeah, so, yeah, speaking of that, we probably, I mean, the finance committee is going to get scheduled because of that. We thought it would be a great idea to schedule committee meetings with the current board members before changes take place.
Since Jenny
Right.
hasn't met with all the individual
Yeah.
committees.
Finance committee,
Negotiations.
negotiations, thank you. I'm drawing a blank.
Was there one more?
Those probably
Those
were
kinda
the
were
most
the two
active
big
ones.
Okay.
Delegate assembly is considered kind of one of those.
What did you say?
The delegate assembly, like, that's, quote, one of the committees.
One of the committees, mhm.
When did you meet before? Was it like?
Just kind of whenever we needed to.
Yeah, whenever we
Something
needed to.
came
But we
Yeah.
need to meet now.
We didn't
before-
meet on a regular basis, we just met
Okay.
as we needed to.
Okay.
So probably
There's 3 days.
So that
that's
will-
all right.
The finance committee will need to meet
before the 8th.
before the 8th.
Okay.
When is your meeting, Brian?
It's October.
The 27th.
27th, and I just screwed up your whole computer.
So the week of November 1st?
So we could have that, or?
I am out the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th.
Okay.
I have no choice. I'm the president of IASPOS,
Yeah.
and I have to be there the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th.
So the first,
I don't
Brian?
think, guys, I'm not coming. So the second, third, and fourth.
So the first or the
First with
fifth,
Really, preferably the 5th, because
then we have time to get whatever we might need after
Except-
the 27th.
Do we need it for the posting of the board agenda?
What, the board meeting is the 8th?
Well, it's
Yes.
the 8th, then we would just put
So
in a
I posted on the,
recommendation.
yeah, I would just put, yeah, it's okay, we can do it.
Like the
As long as
morning
we-
of the 4th?
The
The morning of the
Fifth, I mean.
5th. Did you mean preferably the
Well,
5th you're
that's
gonna be
the-
out?
Seth has a job, so we need to be able to work around it.
It's all right.
I mean,
Friday
I
night.
mean, we all have jobs,
Yeah.
but Amy and I are a little more flexible than.
you're questioning whether we can have like the management fund recommendation. Is that what you're thinking?
Well, we would definitely want to know if it's.
I mean,
Specifically
you
for
gave a lot of
retirement.
input
Yeah.
at the last time we were making these
Right.
decisions.
Right.
And so
And-
that same kind of input.
And a lot of that's management fund
Yeah.
input, to be brutally honest with you. What you do is going to affect the general fund, but a lot of what you, and I think the first we could probably have something, at least management fund wise.
Okay.
So, we just need to know that if you get 6 apply, if there's a maximum of 6 and you get 6, here's what the dollars, we gotta make sure they're in the management fund that we can
pull that off
comfortably
on the
do.
first.
Yeah.
So the first we're meeting?
We could pull it off on the
Now,
first.
again,
First works best for Seth.
Does
No,
it?
No, Iowa Best is, they're
Oh.
doing the
Oh,
Iowa
I-
Best thing on the
that's-
first, we gotta go
I have
shake
to go
hands
to
with
that
the
too.
people.
Okay, I can't do the first either.
No.
by the way,
You can
congratulations.
send that.
Yes.
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
congratulations.
Exciting.
Does everybody know what?
I could do it the evening of the 4th.
Because you would be back.
It would probably have to be 6:30, but I think I can pull that off.
That would work for me.
Okay,
Seth?
yeah, I can make that work.
6:30 on the 4th of
So that's the
November.
finance committee?
So that's you 3, obviously, right?
Mhm.
Me, Jess.
Yeah.
Yeah, 6:30.
Yeah.
6:30 on the,
On the 4th.
I'll send the meeting request.
Okay.
Please do.
thank you.
And then we would need to do a negotiations.
That's Monty and you and me, so I guess
Yeah.
it's up to you and me.
Do you have a time that?
Monday.
I think that one was just more, as long as we.
Touch
met-
base about?
Touch base
Yeah.
before that December meeting. So, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
So that could be
so,
October or in November sometime.
You guys tell me what works for you. Like after work hour,
Maybe.
after work hours, that'd be best.
Probably,
Yeah.
because we should try to make it so Monty.
Monty
can
could be
Yeah.
there.
Be there.
What do you want to be?
Probably,
Just pick a rainy day.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's easy.
What about like Tuesday, the 16th?
Yeah.
That looks
How does
like
that
me.
look for you?
November.
November 16th?
I was thinking the Monday or Tuesday.
Yep, either of those will work.
November 16th at what time?
Let's do,
I can do it anytime.
yeah, Mondays aren't good for me, so no, let's not do Monday.
Okay.
Okay, so how about
Tuesday
Tuesday
the
the
16th
16th at, should we say 6? I mean,
Let's try it. Okay. Okay.
So I'm sorry, let's get back to Seth. What were you saying? Congratulations for Seth's board?
Thanks.
He was.
I showed up today,
I showed up to.
and that is thanks enough.
School psychologist of the
yes.
year.
That's right.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Amazing.
Yeah,
that's so
School
cool.
psych,
in good company. There's a lot of them out there.
so that's great.
Yes, it is, Seth.
Good for you.
Congratulations. Okay, we good with our discussion items? We'll move on to the action items. First action item is the resignation of personnel, Gloriana Erlmeyer, high school associate. Do I have a motion for the approval of the resignation
So
of
moved.
personnel?
Second.
First by Jessica, second by Joe. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Next action item is the employment of personnel. Jill Wendt, elementary teacher associate. Mike Kinkle, dishwasher. Mark Kinkle, dishwasher. And then the approval of contracts, the de novo master planning agreement, Green Hills AEA E-rate services agreement, and control services maintenance plan proposal. We have questions on some of this?
So we have solid recommendation from the administration that all these are good.
For the employment of
Something that
personnel?
No, on
No,
when you were talking
contracts.
about the contracts and agreements.
De novo and
So
Green
you,
Hills.
because you were talking, you were putting the approval of contracts in as,
Well-
or it's not, it's another action item actually, isn't it? No, it isn't.
It's not.
Oh, yeah.
Let's make it another action item. Can we make it another action item?
Let's move the de novo and AEA and controlled
Yeah.
services to it.
Let's just do the employment of personnel.
I think that makes
A,
sense.
B, C.
Yes.
I would move the employment.
I have one question. So Mike and Mark are relatives of mine. Do I need to abstain from this? Both probably? Okay. I'm gonna abstain.
Okay. Let's do
But they're
it.
great.
I'm excited for them.
Yeah.
Okay. So, they will be great additions. So Al, you make a motion
Yes.
for the employment of personnel. Okay?
Second.
By Joni, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Now we will go on to our next action item. We'll make that 3. The approval of contracts and agreements. De novo master planning agreement, Green Hills AEA E-rate services agreement, and control services maintenance plan proposal.
So that was my question, is just, I'm just wanting, yes, we're all, the administrative team, or you guys are feeling like these are good, sound things.
Yeah, so,
I'm gonna talk to them.
The control services, I'll speak to first. The control services, this is higher than it was last year, but last year, this contract we had one with control, we had one with train. Okay, this one is gonna, we are no longer to have the one with train, and it's all gonna be with control, and it actually is approximately $2,000 less actually having it all one. And they're gonna perform the service, all the services anyway, so it was kind of a easy decision to make.
Brian, is this the company that if you pay a fee and if you don't spend it, the expense that
It's kind of a no-lose
Right,
situation,
'cause
because
you-
if we don't use all the preventative maintenance, it just comes off of our regular bills.
Right, okay.
So, I mean, you don't really, you can't lose on it.
Mm-hmm.
really.
and then the E-rate, I should have explained that in my Friday notes, but the E-rate is basically a government rate for internet, and so schools and government agencies get an E-rate, and the reports at the end of the year are very time consuming, and Brian has to do them, and Lisa.
It's something you do once a year and you feel like you're really not comfortable doing.
Yeah.
There's a
so-
lot of things I do once a year and I feel comfortable. It's something I feel like it's way out of my league.
So Green Hills just last year hired an executive director of technology services, and that's one of the things, he's kind of a master at it. So they will do it for us. So then
Okay.
he'll just work with Brian and Lisa, but
That's what I was gonna
it's
ask.
it's a
Do you
lot
work
of
together
hours.
doing it, or he
Yeah.
more takes it over? or-
I give him the information, he's gonna do it, and honestly,
got us some
I
extra
suspect
services
he's
and
gonna
money.
do a good enough job at it, he's probably gonna pay for himself.
Yeah, then we get reimbursed, and so I think there were just a few pieces on there that were very time consuming that we just didn't do, and he can do it.
Perfect.
So he's
That's good.
he's doing it for other districts too.
And
Is
you've
this
been
another
doing
one of
this for
those
quite a while,
resources that
Brian?
you are bringing,
I've been doing
like,
it
that you're aware
since I
of, so you're-
started here.
Yeah.
Okay, so a long
Thank
time.
you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yes, thank you.
It's a new one to Green Hills though too, really.
Well, and if it's beneficial, that's,
Yeah,
Jenny sure has brought a lot of that kind of knowledge and opportunity to our district, so I just want to
yes,
acknowledge that. It's been
very much so.
Super.
Yes, thank you.
On the de novo, that's a new contract with a new company for us. I really liked their presentation last month. I was very intrigued by it. But I guess I'm curious about some of the details on it. This is a one-time fee that gets us a 10-year service plan, and then what, they continue on with us, or do we have to resubscribe to something?
What we would do, first of all, what they would, the original, what this is for is to give us, essentially, they're going to go through and they're going to look at our systems and say, okay, you've got about a year's life left on this roof, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I go deeply into that. Then they're going to give you an idea of what you're going to have to do going forward from year to year. So that's going to get you that. The plan would probably be that you would at least have some dealings with them every year, updating you. You're going to do a lot of the stuff yourself, the majority yourself, but the plan would be is to make them, I use this kind of a loose term, but a partner in our planning process. So I suspect, yes, there would probably be some addition at some point in time. I think the real key why we feel we need this now is, and this can sound really simplistic, but I think we don't know what we don't know. And I think that's where we feel like we need an expert.
Well, I get oversight of this field should be outsourced. I get that. I'm really on board with what they sold to us, but I guess I'm curious about the vetting process for this company. Are there other businesses that do this in the area?
Have you talked to any other
compared to them?
schools, Brian?
Yeah.
Like, or,
yeah.
or any other that have used them?
Companies that do this, or?
There are other companies, and honestly, I spoke to one school that specifically used these guys, and they had glowing recommendations. They went through the process of, there's really two models you can use when you're upgrading facilities. One is the architecture model. One of them is a firm similar to de novo and other companies. One of the things you have to understand when you get an architect, it's built, you get the punch list checked, they're done, they're gone. More schools are going to something, the facility type manager or the facility type partners, because they're going to be there in the future and trying to keep on a regular schedule to stay ahead of things. So are there other companies? Yeah, there are other companies available. And Jenny, you can speak to it, but we've had conversations with a couple of them.
we've had conversations with a couple of them. De novo came recommended by ISPAS, which is pretty closely tied to Iowa School Board Association. So and then also Grenmeyer, the search firm that has worked with you guys before. So we feel very comfortable with them. But we've talked to a couple others, but they don't. I don't know. They don't present it as well, I don't feel, as Patrick does, or talk more about the 10-year plan out. It's kind of more.
One of the unique perspectives
now.
I liked about de novo, and I'll be really honest with you, is one of their principals is actually the president of the school board. And that really that hit home with me, because he kind of understands it from the other side of the fence.
And did they mention, I can't remember for sure, or had you mentioned that de novo likes to use local?
That's the other thing that we like about them, is that they said they first look for local contractors to hire out, so.
Just heard a presentation from Sioux Center, Sue Mack. I don't know if you get his contact info. They just did a massive high school build, and they were able to use like almost all local construction and the community-based part of that, so having that connection like you're talking about and have that whole look with a look not just for a building, but for the community connections and stuff like that, I think that more holistic approach is really valuable for that, what's the presence in the community and alignment with other things that the community is doing, not just the singular school look at it, and that long-term maintenance component, because and that multi-year planning, those projection plannings are really tough to do, and that can really influence what comes next.
One of the best part of the conversations I've had with them so far is they understand that we don't, a lot of times you look at something, okay, it's this or nothing, it's not. Their intentions is to say, you can do it this way. They're going to give us several options. And that to me is huge, because we got to be cognizant of what our taxpayers want to.
And I don't remember if it was Jeff at the last meeting or Bill after this presentation talked about having spoken to some other administrator whose district had used a firm like this, and they were doing some work, and there was a big concrete pour, and what they were discussing was the fact that this firm, there was something wrong with the pour that would have not shown up for 2 or 3 years, but because this firm is involved, in the long haul and has a long-term interest, and they know they're going to have to deal with that in a few years, then they made it right in the moment. And maybe somebody, like the architect approach or whatever, they know they're going to be gone, and so the headache is not going to be theirs necessarily. So I think that's also something to that speaks in favor of this type of service.
Does that answer your question, Joe?
Yeah, I think so. My main concern was the vetting process with the specific company. I mean, I picked up most of the main selling point is how well they presented, but did we give other companies the same opportunity?
Yeah, we've had a couple others come in and talk to us about the same thing. Yeah.
Okay.
Are there any other questions on that? That helps understand some things better, so thank you. Any other questions on that? Or any of the other contracts? If not, I'll take a motion to approve the contracts and agreements. De novo master planning agreement, Green Hills AEA E-rate services agreement, and control services maintenance plan proposal.
So moved.
By Jessica,
Second.
second by Joni. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Our next action item is our policy review schedule, and we have 3. And this is our second reading, correct? Second and final reading. Any questions on those?
Thanks for the work that we
And
did.
Ian,
like all this
okay,
stuff.
good.
Yeah, I know. Okay, if there aren't any questions, I'll take a motion to approve the policy review. 507.10, 213, and 213.01.
So moved.
By Seth,
Second.
by Al, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
Motion carries. I was just gonna say,
It's good work.
I just wanted to mention that Catherine and I talked a little bit about our policy review to get us on a schedule. We talked about, there are some policies that we have to review annually, is that correct?
Yep.
And we thought we would put those on for the first reading in November, second reading in December, and then when the new board is in place, with the January meeting, there would be a first reading with whatever series.
And that schedule is linked in this agenda. So if you want to take a look at that, you
Oh, yeah, there
But I
is.
will link
Okay.
it in all of the agendas from now on,
Okay.
the schedules.
So for these that we need to do a first reading for in November, do we need to pick 3 of us that review them?
Yes, please.
Okay. I'll
I'll
do
do
it.
Sure.
And Joe? Okay. So what we had done in the past is kind of like, you do your agenda, you put the policy on there, and then we read them, and if we have questions, we can make little comments out to the side.
Sure, okay.
Is that okay?
Google Docs or whatever,
Mhm.
okay, yeah.
And I think everybody can read it, so the other board members can read it, only certain
can't
ones of us
write.
can
And
respond.
then if the ones that weren't on to, basically to comment, had a question, then they would send their question to Jenny,
Okay.
and you would find the answers for them.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if there's changes, put it in red or
Well,
something.
do you want them ahead of time, before the agenda goes out?
Yeah, we're gonna need
Oh,
those pretty
okay. I thought you
soon.
said, yeah,
I think she meant Google Doc and she said agenda, but I think you meant Google Doc.
Well, I like our agenda, how we can comment, or
Yeah,
how
okay,
you and I
got you.
have commented
Sure,
on
Yeah,
it.
yeah, okay.
okay.
So, and typically, we'd like to have them reviewed a week before the board meeting, so that way if we have questions, that gives
Yeah.
Jenny time to maybe work through some stuff.
So I can just send them out.
Anytime they're ready.
I mean, they're ready, they're all linked in this thing, so you can
As
look
soon
at
as
them
it's
now if you
convenient
want
for
it.
you.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
sooner the better.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then let's plan to have those done by the 1st. And then that gives Jenny that week to answer questions,
Get
or,
what you-
and you can answer questions as we go.
Okay,
But if there was something that took a little bit longer, that, you know,
okay.
that just gives you a little bit of extra time.
As soon as convenient tomorrow morning.
Yeah, it's ready to go, I can
Okay.
send it in a link for you tomorrow.
Doing it before I get home.
Amy just
You're
forwarded
gonna
that.
have it now, Joe.
Oh, and I just to say
Actually, it's
thank
in
you for
your
all the work.
agenda.
Yes.
Thank you.
Oh.
Yeah,
You have
Yes.
it, it's in your agenda.
Perfect.
On the schedule.
Thanks, have a great night.
Okay, so done with policy review. Next item on the agenda is our consent agenda, and I believe it was Joni and Joe.
Mine.
Okay,
I had a few questions, but all is
got them
good.
answered? Okay, do I have a motion for the approval of the consent agenda?
So moved.
By Joe? And a second?
Second.
By Joni, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next item on the agenda is a facility tour.
Gosh, you guys, you went so fast, I was supposed to text Mike. Ready? Okay.
I'm excited
They go
to
on
see
a
this.
tour?
Did you second that?
Guys, before we take off,
Yeah, at least those.
just so we can, just so we can answer questions as we go, I just, first of all, this isn't a speech, but it is a speech. I think we gotta give credit where credit is due. First of all, I wanna thank Mike, because Mike stepped right in and took over a whole bunch of projects and has done it wonderfully.
Thank you, Mike.
We gotta give credit to Ashley, because she's like the gov deals
Yeah.
guru.
She loves it, Don grabbed that.
Think of the bleachers upstairs, what, that was gonna
Yes.
cost us $18,000 to have removed,
Yeah.
and somebody gave us $1 for it, so we're real happy about that. Lisa's been great to work with on the security, Davis, Todd, and James on the weight area. I think they were probably sick of me. I give credit to Scott and Kyle Funk and Conductus, because that shop out there wouldn't, and the foundation, that wouldn't have happened without them. Bill and Jeff have been great with the project. If you see our custodians, pat them on the back, because they work wonders. We did more this summer than we've ever done.
Yeah, will you tell, who are the custodians?
Sure. At the high school, we have Jim Stessman, and then our night crew is Matt Newcomb, Gail Nelson, and Sarah Leftwich. Middle school, we have Bob Cron is head custodian. Jim is at the high school. And we have Lee Gittens in the evening there. And then across the street, we have Gene Foose, who's head custodian. And then we have Nilfa Quist and Anna Rudy in the evenings. But they all hit her hard. Worked with the city. Well, the vendors are probably sick of me, I'm pretty sure, at least a couple of them. And really, thanks to the other central office staff, because they put up with all my crap when I do this. We really, right now, are doing pretty good on, the project right now we're really waiting on, it's supply chain. We are working on the control system. They are able to, the new control system, the digital controls, they are working on that. The air handling units for this area, they're gonna start on them. They can't give us an end date because it's just getting stuff. And then we are retrofitting the air handler up on the roof for the cafeteria area. That's probably gonna happen, might happen this fall, probably spring. And one that I kind of forgot, we gotta get done is a heater in the middle school kitchen.
We're working on that too.
Okay, I figured it was, so. And I want you to be able to ask questions. Jenny asked me to make a list of the projects we've started on since summer, and I didn't realize it was this much. Lisa did a new solid state storage unit for our tech. The weight area, we have new flooring there. We have a new retractable curtain. We don't have the electrical, we can plug it in and take it up and down right now, but we got to get the electrical hooked up on it. New flooring. The south, north, and east part of the gym was repainted, as well as the stairways all the way up, and everything in the weight area, and you can tell. The metal shop, I'm gonna wait till we get down there. That's exciting stuff. That
Wish we would have seen it before.
Right? Oh, yeah.
we thought about that. It was kind of late. But yeah,
Pictures.
the high school hallways have been, everything in the common areas have all been painted the whole way. We have a new senior study, used to be the senior lounge, it's now a senior study area. The restrooms, we have now redone all the restrooms in the high school. We have a ton of new security cameras. I'll show you some of them that we can see. We are still waiting on the radio system, the walkie-talkie system, and that is, getting that is going to be a challenge. It's just hard to get the product. I'll show you the new ticket stands out front. Scott has new signs on the back doors and out in the front parking lot, which really look really cool. I'm tooting the custodians, our floors look better than they ever did when school started. We were able to buy a couple of carpet machines. One of the things that they had asked for years, and it's something we were able to fit into the stimulus spending, is carpet machines. So if we have like a leak in the roof and we need some help with it, well, we used to have to call somebody. Now they'll be able to do it themselves. So a little efficiency. Mike this year has gotten all of our grounds sprayed and fertilized, and so we were able to hit it all. We got new playground mulch over there. Don't ask how it got spread out. Jeff took care of that. We were able to dispose of a ton of extra equipment in the district. Govdeals.com. The track got resurfaced. It's getting painted, I think, sometime in the next couple of weeks. For the first time in 10 years, we actually had a walkthrough with our fire chief, which that was kind of interesting. Didn't find a lot of things, but got a lot of advice. The north parking lot got painted. Scott painted the HCH, or the Harlan Community School District out here. we are doing a lot of proactive roof work this fall, which is pretty exciting. We've done some small air handler upgrades, some boiler upgrades. Mike probably tired of that stuff. And then we did some water heater and water softener upgrades. But that's not counting the
That's a
little stuff.
lot.
It's a
And
lot.
that's being led by Brian, so we need to get him.
I just point people in the right direction, that's all. And I bug the vendors.
Yeah, well, let's go see.
That is one of the new security cameras, right above Joe.
Right there.
She did get some now that you can actually get 3 in them. 3. One of, we have new ones, actually, yeah, the east side of the building has 2 that should catch just about everything.
We need those.
All right. That's the new ticker. Harlan,
Sharp.
yeah, all they did is they took, and they stripped everything off of it. I wasn't here, no. Yeah, they stripped everything off of that, when you buy that, it actually just.
Oh, it's like a
adhesive or something?
Yeah, and then they punch it in on.
Oh, wow.
And then all this,
Take you to the restroom.
this looks nice. Bright.
Right.
Yeah, these 2 both were done last year, but we did the 2 upstairs and the 2 downstairs at the high school. I'm just gonna take you to the ones downstairs because they're kind of the same. Knock, knock. So everything got repainted in there. We did new wash sinks.
Let's go make sure everyone's anyone in here?
You know, you always want to do that now.
Oh, wow. Nice. Looks nice. Looks very nice.
Well,
I don't know.
okay, Joni went into the stall, so.
Why does he go on the back of the door?
See, the thing where the
I don't think these had stalls at one time.
Yeah, or doors on them.
knock yourself out.
Looks nice. Looks
And
very nice.
actually, we had upstairs, we had a lot of issues upstairs with this area, and so we redid the whole area.
Exhaust fans got fixed.
Yeah,
About 2 weeks ago, whatever.
it's just a lot
What were you
of
saying about over there? The what?
upstairs, it was upstairs, right?
They do the families upstairs.
Yeah, upstairs, it was one of the things that appealed to us
Did you go in?
those wash things. If we are to if we do a renovation and they do some work in those are easily,
Just the janitor's spot and the
you'll be able to
restroom.
reuse them.
Chains.
Which way, Brian?
This way.
Doesn't it? They do stuff like that.
Yes, they do.
I think we were going to.
Okay.
Thanks, Al.
Now, the only thing I really regret is that we didn't take a before picture, because it doesn't do it justice. Everything in the whole room was painted. All the welding equipment, curtains, those are all new. These tables were all fabricated. Yeah, 2 new drill presses, which were donated by conductors.
Wow.
They fabricated a lot like the tables and such. They actually helped with the layout. What the goal was is to make it more like a workplace, so the kids would understand it. I think everything is done out here except for there's a safety thing where the metal, you pick it, it takes the metal and it takes it to the place where you want to use it. I think that they're still waiting on that. And
Looks very
there will be There will be 2 security. They are ordered, are not yet. That's real important because this is a place where things can happen.
Right.
I don't know what it looked like previous, but it looks nice.
This is really cool, because this took the foundation, Scott, conductors, our janitors, I mean, it just, a lot of things.
Pretty much during the summer.
Yep.
Very nice. Very nice.
Yeah, it's, yeah. If you saw what it was, it's like,
This is nice.
this is cool, actually.
It looks professional. It does. Tables look fun.
Now, Joni, you knew what this looked like when our kids.
Oh, yeah.
You
knew what it looked like.
You can't tell me what this isn't an improvement.
Yes.
This is,
This
and I'll tell you a funny story about the
Oh, they
paint.
got pictures up too, I mean, that's nice.
I'll tell a funny story about the paint on the walls. It's not paint, it's primer.
Oh, you're kidding?
We primed it, and Scott come down and he says, okay, we're just gonna leave it like that. So
If you were
it's
painted, primed, ready to go.
it's all primed.
It's nice. Much improvement of to,
The only other thing I have left is the weight area, I think, on my list.
Got stairs.
I want to go back to the shop.
Yeah.
All these, every wall out here got painted. And that you can tell. Steve said all they do, they just pick them right.
Quite a bit different, John.
yes, that's what I'm thinking. That is cool.
Eventually, they're gonna take down the net too, and then they'll take that down for the baseball.
Where they're building.
So, soon as I'll be able to do something like that. And then they wanna take that down too.
I was thinking about shooting it from here off the rafter,
Oh, baby.
through the,
Now that's an old
just like,
Larry Bird stuff.
yes, yes.
There's no need, the only reason they have the
It, nothing but mess.
so that'll just get removed and go down there.
When is that supposed to be built?
Well, they're starting, I think, aren't they?
All I know is, I've only heard through the grapevine that they're gonna do dirt work and probably do footings. But I don't think, the thing that nonprofit group putting up down at J.D. Benson.
Yeah.
My understand is the fastest they can get it built, like, as in the supply chain, is next spring. I think they got on the list. And this thing here does have mesh.
I saw it.
Yeah.
I think Davis had tweeted it.
Yeah, it's got mesh on it, like 2.5 or 3 foot of mesh, and then it goes up probably within 6 inches of the wall, and it'll clear. And we kind of like the idea that it clears here, because then if it's down and the media comes up here,
Then they
they can just walk around it, we don't have to do anything special.
Is it up most of the time, Brian, or?
You know, right now, it's up and it'll be easy. We have to, Mike, don't we have to get it wired?
Week
Yeah.
one.
It has a key switch which will put someplace here,
And then it will go up.
and then it'll be easy.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, and it's, and
I don't know what.
I think the media will appreciate it too, because they'll actually have some space up here.
So will they still do any wrestling stuff up here, or is that all gonna be down?
Most of that gets done in the wrestling room.
No, Roman.
For the- You know, to my knowledge, I don't think, because the one thing they wanted,
I'm sure, yeah.
they wanted those mats out here so fast, I mean,
That's new too.
actually, that's another gut deal. We thought we'd have to pick them up, and we sold them for $1. I love gut deals.
Right?
No, I'm gonna thank Mike again, because a lot of this stuff wouldn't have happened without him. I mean, I'm.
John, Mike
it's-
came.
Yeah, they all did, but you still gotta get people.
Organize it, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's. Anyway, that's all I have.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate the tour.
Thank you.
You gotta open the door.
We gotta finish this up officially.
The last, it was a nice facility tour.
That was wonderful.
Very much.
It's nice to see,
That's why I got on the board.
Right.
nice
was
to see
awesome.
the improvements and
And thank you,
Yeah.
Ryan and everybody who's
just makes you
worked
feel
to do
good.
that.
makes you feel proud.
It does.
I mean, some of the stuff that happened, it's not like it's. Now
a lot of
let's keep the
work.
momentum going.
Exactly.
Right, absolutely.
Okay, next item on the agenda is to adjourn. Do I have a motion to adjourn? By Jessica,
Second.
by Seth. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Meeting is adjourned at 7:32.
Thank you.